Welcome to MADinc. We are Perth's leading automotive detailing studio, passionate about all vehicles and sharing our story. Find us on YouTube, Facebook and Instagram, Spotify and Apple Podcasts to learn more. And thanks so much for watching, listening and supporting. We hope you enjoy. Welcome to episode 2 of the MADinc podcast. My name is James.
And my name is Nick, for anyone that has forgotten.
Yep. And in just a little bit, we're going to be joined by a very special guest. His name is Mike. He is from a company called Car Care Products. And what Car Care Products kind of is a detailing products supplier, essentially. Mike started out by importing detailing products from different places around the world that weren't previously accessible to us here in Australia, where the detailing scene was very young here, very underdeveloped. Mike saw a need and saw the means and a way to fulfill that need. And basically his business took off from there, and at kind of around a similar time when MADinc was starting, a good relationship kind of started there, but we'll get all into that. We'll join a call with Mike and we'll get to hear from him shortly.
Hey, Mike. Hello, mate.
Hey, Mike, how are you?
Good, thanks, guys.
Thanks so much for being a part of our podcast. Tell us a little bit about what Car Care Products is as a company and kind of what role you played in, the start of MADinc, or what that relationship was there.
Yeah, going back quite a few years, really. Car Care Products, I guess, was sort of born out of a desire for really good sort of products within the detailing industry, and that's got to be going back to 2006, 2007. Every year I say sort of, about 10 years, but I guess we're coming up to 15 to 20 years now. So definitely the sort of start of it all. Nick, we'll have to check some dates, mate, because I can't remember what I did last week, let alone what we were doing 12 or 14 years ago.
Yes.
Far out.
I know. So,
I don't know. When did you, we first started working with you when you were back in our mobile days, even, 7 Series, or what was the one before it? Was it Holden? Or was it after?
Oh, mate, there's been so many cars.
Are we talking about cars that Nick's owned?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's been a couple. There's been a few cars.
Yeah, I think it might have been, because when I was working away up north, I was buying Dodo Juice stuff from you guys, and I was watching your great YouTube videos, mate. And
far out. That's about 14 years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah. So
easy.
That's when I would have first started Googling things, and CCP came up and whatnot. And then I think when I wanted to do the Geon stuff, I flew over to Sydney. Then I came back. I think I was working out of the garage for a while. And then I was like, Mike, why don't we...
Yeah, your car's racked up on the lawn on the drive.
That's right. And I think I was like, hey, mate, let's open up a CCP store in Perth. Yep. And then that was sort of the journey from there with Mike. It was.
Went looking at a few different places. Thank God we didn't go with quite a lot of them.
Yes, it was horrible. But that was, the industry was still really new then.
Oh, gotcha.
And I guess my question to you, Mike, is like, how did Car Care Products come about? How was that born?
Yeah, I guess it was, I had a detailing business many sort of years ago, and the best you could buy was pretty much, like Repco or Super Cheap or whatever it was back then. It was a bit of sort of off the shelf stuff, and there really wasn't the sort of the stuff that I'd even been using as an enthusiast, sort of 10 years before in the UK. So yeah, I started bringing in stuff like Dodo Juice and some specialist sort of brands, Menzerna and things like that, way back, because really there was nothing online, there was nothing specialist. So it was a case of bringing it over, and then knew a couple of other guys, and they were just like, "Oh, okay, this could be good. Can you get me some as well?" And it's just like, yeah. And then, yeah, just saw the opportunity, I guess, to supply really, really good products to enthusiasts and sort of, the infancy of the sort of the detailing industry.
Yeah, yeah.
And off we went from there. And then it was a case of, well, there's no online stores that were available back then. You've got to sort of code your own. So that was a sort of a challenge. And there was really only one other guy sort of doing it who I sort of got to know, who was Dave up in Queensland, who had the original Wax It. And he was just doing some bits and pieces through America. So I specialized on Europe, really, and then went towards sort of the US. Yeah, those were the real early days of sort of car care.
And I suppose the products have come a long way. Like I remember waxes were the shit, I guess, and now it's coatings and all this high tech things. What do you think, Mike, is the future of sort of the industry, mate? Because you've been in it for so long, so you would sort of
tell me about it.
You've seen it.
Thanks for aging me faster than those YouTube videos there. I think, like you said, when we first came into it, which was sort of mid, I guess, 2000s, if that, it was all about sort of Canuba waxes and, how deep and intense and glossy, you can make sort of the car look in that sort of regard. I guess we jumped on sort of a lot of it. Like there was no random orbital polishers back then. There was no Bigfoot. There was no anything. So we found one that was, again, in Europe. We traced it back to I guess the sort of the Chinese manufacturer, and started bringing in the original sort of DAS 6, which was a good sort of 15, 16 years ago. So effectively we brought that in. And then talking to guys again in the UK, which the UK used to be the biggest detailing sort of scene out there, with obviously the Detailing World Forum and that sort of side of things. Then we found the foam lances, snow foam lances from Italy. So we started bringing those in with a snow foam solution. And again, you can get them nearly in any brand or in any shop, but we brought them into Australia first off and started sort of those. So we always look for those sort of pioneering things, really. And everything was about sort of waxes at that sort of time. And then I guess it moved on to synthetic sealants, and everyone put in, 52 coats of sealant on their car or something along those lines and layering it up. And then, everyone then started moving into some form of nanotechnology or ceramic technology or quartz technology. And it was always just trying to make the product sort of last longer.
Yep.
Everyone wanted better results, longer lasting results. So, they didn't have to wax the car every month or 6 months or whatever it is. It's just like, okay, we'll put it on. So how much more innovative is it going to get? I'm not quite sure. I mean, we've got coatings now that last, that are consumer coatings. So, some of those are lasting, 3-4 years plus on their own in real terms, not sort of marketing sort of terms. So, you've got a product that can last for nearly 5 years on your car. You do wonder. Obviously, again, we sort of went down the sort of the Expel sort of route many years ago. It's probably about 8 or so years ago, nearly 10 years since I was talking to them. So again, saw that PPF was going to be something big within the sort of the detailing world. So then you've got a product that I guess is even longer lasting than a coating to some sort of degrees and offers differences in it. So I don't know, could you ever get a product out of a bottle that has more protection or more technology? Potentially. I don't know. There's some really sort of clever people who are working on things at the moment. But there's nothing really that's sort of shaken the market, I don't think. There's certainly nothing out there that is on the precipice like sort of ceramic coatings were probably 10 years ago. not from a consumer point of view. And I think detailing is the convergence of ceramic coatings and PPF, and still some old school sort of detailing in there for sure. But it's generally the sort of protection technology these days. Hey,
Yeah.
there's rumours in the industry that we had years ago about self-healing paint.
Yeah.
So you've got a very large paint company with a very large PPF company that have come together, and they're working with the big American manufacturers to do something that basically is going to be from a manufacturer sort of point of view.
Yep.
Obviously Nissan tried that many years ago. It really didn't work at all. It didn't self-heal in any sort of regard, I don't think. But yeah, I mean, if you could actually get that, then that would sort of obviously change the industry quite dramatically.
Yeah, and then there'll be a product to protect
Yeah.
the self-healing paint.
Yeah.
I mean, you still...
Yeah, you'd have to.
Yeah, and then you've got to get painters that can paint. Like if you damage a panel, you've also got to repair it, you know what I mean? So I think we're a while away from...
Oh, yeah.
from that being a streamline sort of...
Yeah. Well, I mean, mate, when you look at the sort of the dealerships, some of them are only just getting onto ceramic coatings in terms of what they class as paint protection now and in the last few years.
Yeah.
I mean, it's taken them, 10 years longer than sort of professional detailers to get up to technology.
Yeah.
So if you think about another 10 years, then yeah, we might have another advance in sort of 10 years sort of time from that.
Yeah.
I reckon I'll be about done in 10 years, mate.
I know I will be, mate.
Yeah.
I know I will be.
Yeah.
Completely.
The transition is going to be super slow because, you're absolutely right, Mike. You look at dealerships that are only just starting to adopt ceramic coatings now, and then you look at the number of cars that are coming to us from a dealership where the ceramic coating's not even been done properly.
Yeah.
It'll be a slow change.
It certainly will be.
Yeah, and I think that's the difference. And I think one of the other points you guys sort of mentioned in the sort of the brief was about the detailing industry and that improvements and things. I mean, there's huge gains that could be had by actually having professional training for the industry.
Yeah.
The real pioneers of detailing have been you guys that have gone out there and turned the industry into a profession. There's no courses that people can do to become a professional sort of detailer. And when you look at mainstream detailing in terms of car washes and dealerships, they still really have next to no idea.
Yeah.
They don't have anyone trained there. They don't have anyone who actually knows, about sort of the quality standards that a lot of people sort of would like. So yeah, the detailing industry in itself is certainly not saturated. It's not in the infancy. I mean, you guys were the sort of the pioneers probably 10, 15 years ago in actually doing it. And I mean, when you look back, there was no shops like you have today, and that there are around the country. So, there's going to be a good step forward again, I think, within the industry. And customers choose what they want, which fortunately for us is quality.
Yeah, and I think we're seeing more and more customers understanding how a car should be presented, and they aren't they're not taking the keys when they pick the car up. They're like, hey, I'm not taking the keys. This paint looks terrible. You guys need to fix it, and then I'll pay for it and I'll pick it up. So the consumer is getting educated, and it's good to see. But the dealerships still, a lot of them don't really care.
No, it's commercial.
It's just a car. Get it out.
The dealership's just there to sell a car. Once it's sold, they don't want to see it again.
That's right, which is fine. That's cool.
That's the business.
Yeah. But presenting the car, a lot of people, it's a big purchase for them, and they want it to look amazing. So I can understand that. But now it's how many cars do we get? And we're like, yeah, okay, that's the standard of how it's delivered. We almost expect it now that it's going to be shit.
Yeah. It's you got your new car delivered last week, and it's scratched. It's got dents. There's paint chipped on the tub.
Yeah.
Like it needs a couple of hours polishing. It needs this done. It needs that done, and it's brand new.
Yeah, but it is what it is, you know. So
yeah, it's pretty sad when you consider, you know, it is probably the second largest purchase that someone's going to buy behind their house, and they're investing in it. And like you say, it's certainly not from one dealership. It's from a lot of dealerships. You know, it's the 80-20 rule, where 80% of dealerships seem to be fairly commercially focused and fairly shocking, and 20% do actually do the right thing and you know, follow through and really do try and provide a decent product for it. But yeah, 80% is real shonky. And I don't know, again, because I think there's no leadership within that people just don't understand what a presentation of a good car really is. You know, some of these guys actually do look at the car and think, oh yeah, this is fantastic. And it's just like, so, you know, if you think about the guys in the industry, most of us are a little bit OCD. So is it a curse or is it a gift?
yes, well, probably both.
Yeah, healthy mix of both.
Maybe talk about the different sort of stages in terms of asked you a little bit, Nick, about, you know, your sort of stages, and I could bring in some examples of other guys who have, you know, grown in different ways to sort of lead the industry. So, you know, I guess we touched on the mobile to shop and shop to bigger shop and, you know, that sort of side of things, but maybe touch on, you know, how much effort and how much time goes into building all of this. You know, how much effort and time goes into even sort of, you know, trialing new products before even you guys get a hold of it. Yeah. So, yeah, we could go down that route a little bit if you wanted.
Yeah, we can do that. I mean, I think people underestimate how much time and effort does go into starting any business and making it a successful one at that. So, like, you live and breathe it 24/7. Like you don't get a break. Like Mike's just been on holidays, and like he said, it wasn't really a holiday. Like you're in a different place, but you're still
working.
You can't ever just switch off. And I think in every, like, you have different stages of business, and the early stage might seem like it's a lot of work, but I think as you grow, it does become harder and more challenging, and you have different issues. And like I mentioned in the first podcast, like being the firefighter, that you have got to put out those spot fires, and you have to ensure that the customers are happy, or the staff are happy, or your wife and your family are happy, and like you're trying to keep everyone happy. And then it's like all of a sudden it's the financial year's ended again, and then you're into the next year, and then there's something else, and it like literally does not stop. And I think Mike's, like, you can agree, Mike, you got a lot more going on than I do, mate, and it never ends for you either.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's a constant sort of treadmill, and you know, I think part of that is who we all are. You know, you want to develop your business and continue sort of developing your business in terms of the very best products, the very best methods. You know, it's not like you're going to sort of sit still. And I think this industry is one industry that is kind of like that. You know, I think it is a sort of a never-ending one. Even though, you know, we just sort of said there's no huge sort of innovations, then yeah, everything does sort of take time to sort of implement sort of within a business for sure. And when you do have more moving parts, then yeah, it's just a faster sort of treadmill, really. And, you know, I mean, you get changes of staff, you get changes of technology in terms of systems, in terms of, you know, the never-ending sort of updating sort of socials, never-ending sort of websites, which is great because it educates the customers, but it never ends, for sure.
And I think it's important to get off the treadmill and appreciate what you've created and appreciate the whole business, you know what I mean? Because we have so many cars come and go, that you, as a car enthusiast, you want to be able to look at the car not just as something that's making money for the business.
Yeah,
You need
a product of your business.
Yeah, you need to step back and go, hey, that's this really cool car, and enjoy it. Otherwise, there's cars that come and go, and you don't even realise.
Yeah.
You're like, I didn't even get to enjoy looking or touching that car because you are looking at it like, okay, cool, the customer's picking it up in 2 days, got to get it done, let's go. So getting off the...
It is. Yeah, and there's been cars that you even get to the point of hate because, things go wrong or whatever else, and you just like, thank God, I've done amazing cars before from a detailing sort of perspective. And by the time it leaves, you hate it because either the paint wasn't playing the right game, or the conditions were against you, or the PPF wasn't fitting, or whatever it is. And like you say, it does take away from your natural sort of car passion to something that's just, like you say, you never want to turn it into like a sort of sausage factory, really, because then it takes the reward, the natural reward away from everything, really.
Yep, I agree. But it is tough.
Yeah,
because
it is, and it's like you say, it's also sort of tough. And I do try and sort of step back. And there was probably a period for a few years where I probably didn't step back enough. In that sort of that mid sort of jumped on a sort of treadmill sort of frenzy. Where you really do have to work on the business. And, it's a cliche that a lot of people sort of use, but, if you don't sort of step back away from the business, then you're never going to find the next big sort of opportunity, or you're never going to develop the new techniques or find, new products or something along those lines. And, a lot of the time that is networking through others.
Yep.
We all stay in touch, and we do conferences and we do meetings and things along those lines, despite, 3,500 Ks in between us, for instance. But by doing that, then that's how everyone sort of does grow a lot better and a lot sort of stronger, for sure, I think.
Yeah, it's important to look at your business and other people's businesses from outside. Otherwise, you can get a bit blurry and...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You think you're the only one with a problem, or
That's
this or that or whatever. It doesn't really matter what stage you're at. We're at different sort of stages. Fortunately, there's a few guys who have grown at a similar sort of size and sort of pace, and come from obviously the mobile onto the home garage, or from the home garage onto the first unit, and then probably through about 2 or 3 more units, and on you go from there, type of thing. So, but they can also appreciate the growing pains that everyone else is going through, and can sort of help out as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's all just one big journey. Everyone's on a different one, but I think we've touched on most of it. I think we've got enough to make an interesting podcast. Mike?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. No, I think we've covered a lot. If we get sort of half of it in there, hopefully it's fairly educational and fairly informative and inspirational for a few guys.
Yeah, I think so. Thanks, mate, for being a guest. I think it's important for people to understand sort of how important car care products was for the industry. And, like Mike said, there's a lot of products that he's brought in to Australia that we may not have had at all, So thank you, mate, for all your hard work and support over the years, especially for us. And I know you guys support a lot of detailers around Australia. And if we didn't have CCP, like I said, we wouldn't have... a lot of us probably wouldn't be here, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So thank you, mate. Appreciate it.
No, pleasure, and thanks for having me on, guys. Hopefully this turns into something sort of good, and you're also trying to educate and bring forward the sort of the industry and develop it as well. So, awesome job on this, and keep doing what you're doing.
Fantastic.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Cool.
All right, bud.
Awesome, guys.
I'll chat to you when I chat to you.
Absolutely. Have a good one.
All right. Thanks, mate. See ya.
Cool. Cheers, guys.
Cool. Thanks so
Have a good
much,
one.
Mike.
No worries. Cheers, James.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the MADinc podcast. If you are looking for some next steps, there are a few directions you can go. If you're interested in learning more about us, feel free to check out our social media content on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, or our other productions such as our feature videos on YouTube and our podcast on Spotify or Apple. If you have a question you'd like us to answer or discuss on the podcast, you can send an email to james@madincgroup.com, or if you have a business or service inquiry related to one of your own vehicles, you can come visit our showroom, give our office a call, or send an email to info@madincgroup.com. Thanks again for tuning in. We'll see you next time.